Before we create our app, we need to install the Angular CLI. You can check if you already have it installed with the ng-v command. To install, just use the npm install command. Give it a global flag and add angular/CLI. So now let's create our app. Just navigate to a folder where you're gonna put your project. I'm gonna keep mine on the desktop. You can use the clear command or Ctrl L to clean your terminal. And now let's use the ng-new command to create our app. But before, let's pass a help flag. As I'm not gonna cover testing in this course, I will use the skip test flag, or -st for short. But there are a few other flags that might be interesting for you. For example, the inline template or inline style, service worker, routing. But for now, let's go ahead and create our app. ng-new, give it a name. I will call mine ng-fire after Angular Fire, and I'll use the skip test flag with the shorthand command. As you can see, Angular CLI used yarn to install the package. When you first install it, it defaults to npm. Let's clear our terminal and I'll show you how to set yarn as default. To set yarn as default package manager, you can use the command ng-set, give it a global flag, package manager equals yarn. And next time you use the ng-new, it will install your dependencies with yarn. Now let's cd into our application. If you're using VS Code, you can use code dot and it will open in the editor for you. Here we have our source folder, and within that we have the app. App module is the root of our application, and the app component is the root component. Every component in your app will flow through here. This selector you can find in here in the index.html inside its body tag. And this is the top level component in your app. We're going to add the material design components in our app to give it a modern look. In Visual Code, you can use its integrated terminal. And here in View, if you go in the View menu, integrated terminal. Let's first generate a material module so we can add its components. You can use the command ng-generate module. Let's call it material. Give it a flat flag so it will not create a folder. And let's add it to the app module. Okay. As you can see, the dash flat puts your module in the root of your app. We're going to create a core and a shared module next. But this time let's use the shorthand. G for generate, M for module. Let's call it core. And let's also add it to the app module. This is the same as the first one without the flat. Now let's also create a shared module. Now in our app module, we have the core module imported. And we also have a shared and a core module. Both has its own folders. Now let's have a look at the Material Angular website. Here in the get started, we have some instructions on how to set it up. We're going to add the material and the CDK dependencies with Yarn. Let's go back in our app. Just paste it in here and let it install. When you're using Yarn, it gives you a more verbose installation. In NPM, I find it quite weird because sometimes it's just stuck in the limbo, it doesn't show anything and you don't know what's happening. Next, if you scroll down, you see that we're gonna need some animations. This already comes with Angular, so we just need to import the browser animation module. So let's go ahead and add it to our core module. Now let's import it and let's add it to the imports array. We won't need the common module in here, so we can delete it. After the browser animation, we need to add a theme. If you scroll down, you can find include a theme, number 4, step 4. The step 4 include a theme. You can copy this pre-built theme. If you click on the theming guide, here you can find some more other colors, and I will show you later how to set up your own theme. But for now, let's use this pre-built Indigo theme, and you have to add it in your app into the styles.css. Now let's also get the material icons, and this will go into the index.html just before the end of the head tag. Let's just start our server and see if you get any errors. You can start with ng-serve/open. And here we have our app. If you use the Ctrl-Shift-I, you can open the development tools. So everything works correctly. Now let's add some test components in here. Back into the material Angular website, let's go on components. Let's add some buttons. Click on buttons, API. Here we can copy this import and let's add it to our material module. Here we also can remove the common module, and we're not gonna declare any components, so we can remove it and replace it with exports. Let's paste that bottom module, and if you alt click, we can select both and paste together. While we're at it, let's go ahead and add some icons as well. Alt click. I'm using Pretzer to format my code. Here in the VS Code, you can right click and use format documents, Ctrl-Shift-I. Now our app is rebuilding. Next, we need to actually add the components. So here in the bottom, let's click in example here on the view source. Copy this. Back in our app, we can go into the app components.html and let's just paste everything in here. When you save it, there we go. We have everything set: the buttons, the colors, and the effects. If you haven't created a project yet, you can just click in the add project. Here you can give it a name and choose your country. When you give it a name, you can use a trick in here. It will auto-generate an ID for you. If you click on edit, you can actually add it. For example, if you have a domain, you can just add it just like that, and that will be included in your link, and you're gonna have a better looking project path. I already create my project, so I'm just gonna click in here. What we're looking for is this add Firebase to our web app. We only need this object from the config variable. So let's just copy it and go back into our app, and we're going to add to the environment. Here we have the production and a test environment. Let's add to the test for now. Just give it a name. We'll call it Firebase. Just paste the object in it. Save it. And we are done with it. Now we've finished setting up our app. We have material Angular. We have the material design components added. We also added the Firebase API keys. And we're ready to start coding. Let's commit our setup to Git. So far, we've been working in the master branch, but that's a really bad idea. You should never work straight in the master branch. We should always work off a feature branch. So first, let's create a development branch. Git checkout. You can use the git checkout -b for a new branch and give it a name. Let's call it dev. Now if you use git branch, as you can see, you have a dev branch. Now let's commit the setup to it. Git status. Just increase this a bit. So we have a few modified and untracked files. With the command git add dot, which will add everything. Git status again. And let's commit it now. Git commit -m to pass a message. Add Firebase API keys. We also add the material design. And create a few modules. There you are. Git status again. And we're good to go. I see you in the next lesson.